Hey YouTube friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is LaDonna. I'm a homeschooling mom of two, and on my channel I just like to share what we're learning, how we're growing, and what God is doing in our lives. Okay, today's video is an Enrichment Friday video. So for those of you who are new here, let me explain. This year, for the 2021-2022 school year, we decided to take Fridays and focus on enrichment subjects. Now, because I live in a state that requires me to log hours, we just couldn't take Friday off. That's why I made it an Enrichment Friday. Now, we still do an English lesson and a math lesson, but all of our other extras like supplements and electives, we do not do on Friday. So I'm excited to share with you how it is going. But before I jump into that, I have my schedule right here for Friday. And it's not that I just can't remember. It's because usually by Friday I am toast. I don't think I need to explain that. I think all of you homeschooling moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, and uncles, even siblings, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's just nice for me to open up my planner, turn to the Enrichment Friday day. Okay, I need to get this out, that out, and we are good to go. So I have it right here. It just seems so natural when I pull out all of our other Enrichment Friday resources. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in. The very first thing I have on here is our morning basket. We do our morning basket every day. It might look different some days, but the core things that are in our morning basket are our current events, and we have a subscription to World News, and we love that. It is amazing. That is something I'm definitely taking with us into the upcoming new year. We do our morning menus include our calendar time. We have some life skills in there. I'm teaching them our phone numbers and our addresses. We actually have two because we have a P.O. box. We have our hymn study in there. We have our memory work in there. There's just a lot in our menus that we do every day. So we have our current events, our menus. We have our Bible reading plan is in there as well. We also have just some quick reads, some supplements that I kind of change out. I'm not going to go into too much details because I've shared that in other videos. And then our read aloud is in our morning basket. So that's a must. We do that. The very next thing that we jump into is our English. So I go ahead and do an English lesson with my daughter. My son does his math lesson, and then they switch, and then we jump into our enrichment. We probably only school at the most 3 hours on a Friday. That's even with us sleeping in. Sometimes it's not even that long, but if we're just really enjoying our read aloud, or if we're really enjoying astronomy, I'll just keep reading. So that's basically how it goes. I don't even really start school until 9 o'clock on a Friday, just because I feel like by that time we are just ready, and it is so refreshing. And there's another big thing that I do. I don't really talk about it here, but when my kids wake up in the morning, they do not get to turn on the television. I actually save that for our Fridays. So in the morning, they wake up, they turn the television on. Sometimes we make them breakfast, and sometimes they make their own. So whoever's making the breakfast, the others turning on the TV, and they get to watch one episode of whatever it is that they pick and eat their breakfast and get their morning going. So I definitely use that to my advantage. It's a currency. I know that might sound a little rigid to some, but I have noticed in the past when I would let them watch television before school, we definitely had more attitude. So that has helped. It was something I started last year. I brought it into this year. I just wanted to clarify that. So, okay, this is kind of getting a little scattered. We start our morning. They have breakfast. We do our morning baskets. We have our core lessons for English and math. from there, we do our creative journaling. So here are their journals. I've talked about this a couple of times. This one is Annabeth's and this one is David's. And what they do is I have these story cubes right here. This is actually a game, and someone gave it to us years ago. And even though we had never played it, I just couldn't get rid of it because it was, you know, it was a gift and it was a game. And I thought, you know what, we can, uh-oh, they're running from me. We can find good use for them. But anyway, there are how many? So there are 9 cubes in here, and each of the cubes have a different picture on them. So that was a turtle. Like this one's got a little bee on it. It's got a moon. It's got a magic wand. What does this one have on it? It has a tree, a castle, a rainbow. Look, the camera's over here. I'm totally messing this up. But the point is, they take the cubes, they roll the cubes one time. That's my rule. They can't just keep rolling until they get what they want. They can only take the cubes and roll them one time. And they can pick as many as they want, but I do have a requirement that the minimum is 3. If, you know, they roll all of them and they only like, you know, 2, they still have to pick one more to write about. So the idea is they roll the dice, they pick the pictures that they like the best. Let's just say someone rolls a bee, and then someone rolls, you know, this lightning bolt, and someone else rolls, you know, this apple. They would take those 3 pictures. Let me see if I can get them here. And they would write a story about these things. And listen, they love it. They love it. My daughter especially loves it, but I do not have any issues at all when it comes to creative writing on our Fridays. So I don't know if you are looking for a way to just create more fun and excitement, maybe freedom. Definitely think about this. I think that these cubes are really inexpensive. Like I said, I didn't buy this. They were a gift, but both of my kids love it. And I also, when it comes to the writing, I have a minimum of 2 paragraphs. They can write more than that, but they can't write any less than 2 paragraphs. So, and what's really fun is sometimes at tea time, I'll let them read their stories, because when we do tea time, poetry and tea time, we do it on Fridays, or if we're not doing tea time, they just read it anyway. But this has really been a fun and exciting thing to do on our Fridays, and it's definitely something I'll be taking with us into the next year. So after our journaling, we jump right into astronomy. Now, let me explain. Some of you are probably scratching your head because you're like, wait a minute, aren't you using God's Design for Life for your science curriculum? Yes. However, if you're unfamiliar with that curriculum, it has been planned to be used 4 days a week. So I'm using that to my advantage. I really wanted to include some type of extra science for our Fridays. So I decided to go with astronomy because when I looked at some of our state standards, specifically for my son, I had realized the year prior to that he would have done some type of astronomy study. Now, I do not typically look at state standards when it comes to what I pick. However, I just thought, you know what, let's just go ahead and make it into something fun, and hopefully that way it will be more memorable. So I decided to go with Apologia's Exploring Astronomy. And we are currently, let me see where we are, because we only do this on Friday. So we're currently on chapter, well, it's broken up by lessons. So we are on lesson 7, and we are 6 pages into the lesson. It usually takes me 2 Fridays, maybe 3, depending on how long the lesson is, to get through the lesson. So Exploring Creation with Astronomy is a part of their Young Explorer series. Basically, you would do this with elementary aged children, and you would spend your whole year focusing on this one topic. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The reason why I didn't just go with this as part of our core curriculum is because I just don't know if focusing on one topic was a good idea for our family. We like a little bit of movement, and when things start to get bored, it starts to affect our attitudes and even our joy. So I knew that this was not something that we could just do for one solid year. However, it is working for us on Fridays. So this particular book has 14 lessons, and like I said, we're already on lesson 7, so we're basically halfway through. However, we only have 1 week left in February, so I'm actually going through this book and picking what it is that we're going to study. Lessons for the remaining planets that we have not studied. However, I really want to study the lesson that's titled Space Rocks, and I really want to study the stars and the galaxies and space travel. So that is what I am fixing to do. I'm fixing to go through this book and really nail down what it is I want to fit in before our school year ends. So basically, we read this, and then both of my children have a notebooking journal. Now, I don't want to talk too terribly much about this, but I am impressed with this curriculum. I'm impressed with how simple it is. It does remind me a lot of the God's Design for Life by Master Books, and how you just read the lesson and there's some type of discussion, but this notebooking journal is really what sets it apart. So I just kind of want to give you an idea of what is in here. Let me flip to how we use this. Let me go to a previous lesson. I usually don't like to show their work, but I think it would give you a good idea. Okay, so this was from lesson 3. And listen, there are a lot of worksheets in each lesson, and there's no way, I think, even if you were using this as your core curriculum for a solid year, that you would get through all of this. However, we're just hitting the high points. But anyway, this is the lesson section for Mercury. So the very first thing you see is a note section. I'm going to turn it around because this is my... Is this my son's book or my daughter's book? This is my son's book. So this part is all about taking notes. So I love the fact that there is an opportunity for them to write down the things that they hear as we are reading the lesson. This is such a necessary skill for children to learn, and I am using it to my fullest advantage because it's teaching them to listen actively. You know, I tell them all the time, look, there's a difference between hearing and listening, and I've really enjoyed teaching them that through the skill of note taking. So it's the very first thing we do before we get into any of the other fun stuff. They have to take notes as they listen. There are some activity pages. That's where you're going to find your projects, your experiments, and all that stuff. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we do not. The directions are not in the notebooking journal. They're actually going to be in your actual book. There are prompts while you're reading that tell you when to do the activity. So there are pages for that. There is also copy work. I do have them do the copy work. There's copy work in print and cursive. Both of my children can write in cursive, so I have them do the cursive. There are also sections of mini books, and these are actually my favorite part. So this lesson had 3 mini books, and as you can see, you know, this one you had to color, and you open it up and there's information about it. These right here, you just had to fill them in with information. Some of the mini books are more elaborate, and some of them are a little bit more simple like this. But I love the fact that after we are done with the lesson, we can tear out these pages, we can cut and we can color, and they have to use this book to go back and fill in the mini books. I love it so much because, again, they've already been taking notes as they've been listening to the lesson. And here's an opportunity for me to really measure how well they have listened and how well they can use this textbook. So I love the mini books. That is probably my favorite part about this, and it's so fun. You know, I just turn on some music, and you know, we've got crayons and markers and pencils and scissors and glue all over the floor, and they're having a good time. You know, it's Friday, and we're still doing schoolwork, but we're a little bit more laid back, and this has definitely helped us. So after that, there's always some type of crossword, and both of my children really love that. And listen, the further you get into the book or into the lessons, these aren't, the crosswords are not simple. You definitely have to think. So it's an opportunity for them to use some critical thinking. There are some pages here that are titled Taking It Further. If you want to do additional assignments as far as projects, writing assignments, you know, fill in the blank, anything you want to do, they give you opportunities for that. And there's a section at the end that's called What Do You Remember? And they're very specific questions about what they learned in that lesson. We don't necessarily do that because I feel like they kind of do that when they work on the mini books. I feel like there's a theme with some of these questions. I think if you had older children, it would be necessary, especially if this was your core curriculum, but because it's not, we don't use it. There are tests available. I don't know all the ins and outs to that because I didn't, you know, I read it, but it's not something I really dug deep into because we're not doing the testing side of it. But all in all, I love this. Apologia's Astronomy from their Young Explorer series has definitely enriched our Fridays and made it really fun and really hands-on. So I love this. Okay, from there we go straight into art, and we are using living art lessons from Master Books. We love this, we really do, but we are taking it easy. Let me just tell you how many lessons are in here. Does it say it in the front? I don't think it says it in the front. So I have to flip through the back. So there are 35 weeks worth of lessons in here. We are on week 14. So like I said, we're taking it very, very slow. However, I really do love this curriculum. It teaches the 7 different elements of art. There are also artist studies as well as different art projects. If you were to buy this from Master Books, it would also come with an artist journal. I actually took their journals apart because it was just more easier to work with, and I set it up in a binder. And it's full of different worksheets and opportunities for them to practice and apply what they've learned. Like, for example, here is the color wheel. Whose book did I grab? I think that this is my daughter's book. Yes, so this is my daughter's book. So here was an opportunity for her to apply what she learned about primary colors and secondary colors, and I really loved that. So of course there are art projects in here, and there won't be a page for that, but the few that we have done have been really, really fun, and all of the supplies that I have needed, I have been able to find around our house. And for us, this does qualify as an elective, and yeah, we love it. From there, we jump into our reading comprehension skill sheets. So these are from Rebecca. This is my son's. I have the 6th grade, and then I also have the 3rd grade for my daughter. I bought 3rd grade because I wasn't too sure on how intense the 4th grade was going to be, so I just thought I'd start with 3rd grade, and listen, it's going really, really well. There are how many sheets? Let me see. That doesn't say. So there are 42 different sheets. We have already completed 16. So that roughly kind of gives you an idea. It's super simple. You give your child one sheet, you set a timer. They have to read the information that is on the front of the sheet, and then they have some questions on the back, and they have to do all of this within the time frame. And again, I think that this is such an important skill, especially whenever our children get to the high school level and they start taking all of the different tests that are needed to apply for college. Here's another one. This one is page 22, so you can see what my 6th grader has to read, and then again the amount of questions on the back. It did come with an answer key. I'll show you the 3rd grade level just so you can get an idea. So here is page 24. So this is what my 3rd grader's reading. You can see the font's a little bit bigger and there aren't as many questions. And she does have a minute more than what my son has. So I just like it because it's a good gauge, and especially for my daughter and her reading journey. For those of you who have been here from the beginning, you know she has had quite the journey. This has definitely helped with fluency. So it's perfect for our Enrichment Fridays. We also do our spelling test on Enrichment Fridays, and from there we go into any kind of one-on-one time we have. There are different resources that I'm working through with both of my children. So while I'm working with one, the other is reading, and then we switch it up. And yeah, that's the very last thing that I have. I also have on here Friday is when we do our poetry and tea time. So if you've been around here, you know that. I do not have to explain it. That's usually how we wrap up our day. Sometimes I theme it, sometimes I do not. But yeah, that's what our Enrichment Fridays look like. It's going really, really well. I'm very pleased with it. I feel like they help us to just breathe, and they prepare us for the weekend. And also, we're done, like I said, maybe 3 hours at the most, sometimes less. And they've just got the freedom to do whatever it is that they want to do. That's definitely what I try to encourage is, okay, you're done. Now you can go outside. We haven't been able to go outside a lot right now because it is the winter here in the Midwest. And, you know, some days it's just really cold. There might not be any snow on the ground, but, you know, 2 degrees is a lot to handle. But anyway, friends, okay, that is an update on our Enrichment Fridays. We are loving it. We look forward to them. I really love what we've chosen. It's working for us. And yeah, it's definitely going to be coming with us into the next school year. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I don't even know if I'm necessarily going to build off of what we've already done. I think I'm just going to look for ways for us to spend time together reading and using our hands to explore our interests. So anyway, friends, that's my update. I hope that this was helpful. Please tell me below in the comments if you've used any of these resources. Please, if you have any questions, ask. I will do my best to get back to them. And let me know, do you do an Enrichment Friday or a Fun Friday, or do you just school 4 days a week and you take the Friday off? I would love to hear it in the comments below. And I know everyone else watching who reads the comments would love to read them as well, especially those who are searching for some inspiration. So anyway, friends, I'll see you next time. Bye.